SpongeBob's nightmare became true again, and we haven't seen it get this bad since one of the show's most controversial episodes. But before we get to this new episode, let's talk about one of SpongeBob's deepest, darkest fears. He's a social butterfly who loves his friends, loves his job, and loves his pet snail. As a bubbly extrovert, one of the biggest fears they can have is being all alone. We'd see this in an episode that still to this day has lots of haters and passionate defenders. In this episode, SpongeBob would wake up alone and try to push through living life in Bikini Bottom, but go crazy in the process. He couldn't take the thought that the people that he sees every day were simply gone. Pun intended. This episode takes that fear to the next level because the only thing worse than being alone is being alone while there's people around you who don't feel alone. One of those people who doesn't feel alone in this episode is the main character of this episode, Sponge Tom, in this episode Bizarro Bottom, which takes place not in Bikini Bottom but Tankini Top. He wakes up in his completely normal house where he goes to his completely normal job and says goodbye to his completely normal pet, Barry.
I'm prepared.
Good morning, Sponge Tom.
Good morning, reliable customers. Morning, awkward.
Now that guy.
So you may be wondering exactly who this is, and believe it or not, this is not the first time that we've seen this character, as we'd see him within the season 12 episode Broken Alarm and the season 13 episode Spatula of the Heavens. This is the first time where we'd see where he lives, and as you can tell, he leads a similar but oddly distinct life to SpongeBob. His relationship with Awkward, the octopus, is a friendly and supportive one rather than a one-sided friendship, and his relationship with his boss doesn't revolve around one nickeling and diming the other.
On account of it being your day off tomorrow, I thought I'd let you go home early.
Thanks, Mr. Claus. Who, my pet Barry sure is going to appreciate getting his dinner early tonight.
I would also like to say as an aside, seeing Bizarro Krabs, or as he's called in this universe, Mr. Claus, act so nice to Sponge Tom and let him go early, you already know this is not Bikini Bottom. Also, the Bizarro versions of Mr. Krabs and Squidward are voiced by their non-Bizarro counterparts, which is impressive. You may wonder when we're going to get to their nightmare, and it starts now, but in a way that references an old episode of SpongeBob. In a similar fashion to the classic episode Rock Bottom, where SpongeBob misses his stop and is transported elsewhere, he does this again and ends up in Tankini Top. This is a part of the Tidal Zone series, which you may remember included the SpongeBob crossover, that crossover with SpongeBob where we got 5 parts. So tired from work, SpongeBob barely notices that it's not exactly his home. But we as the audience know immediately.
Gary, put your shell on.
SpongeBob is the kind of tired that makes you want to have like a 12-hour deep sleep. While he's going to bed, Sponge Tom is going away for a few days, meaning that they never get to see each other. Yet. After getting much needed rest, SpongeBob gets up and realizes that he's late for work. The episode has some clever clues that hint to the sponge that this isn't his home, despite how close it may feel like it's his home. He reaches for the doorknob, but it's on the other side of the door. He tries to brush his teeth, but he's not looking at the mirror, and he's not using a toothbrush. He tries to eat breakfast, but ends up eating soap flakes. Even with these major hints, the sponge is so clueless that he simply thinks that he shifted everything after being so tired last night. Do you know how eerie it would be if you were in your home and small but noticeable things were not in the spot where you remember them to be? I feel like I'd notice immediately, but I guess in a rush to work, maybe not. After some loyal patrons greet whom they think is Sponge Tom, they quickly realize that something is off.
I thought it was your day off.
Good one, Squidward.
Awkward.
Ugh, that was awkward.
More subtle clues are shown here, like the crunchy crab door, yes, not Krusty Krab, being on the wrong side, and as shown earlier, his grill for patties being replaced with a taco making station. SpongeBob still, at this moment, believes all of this is due to his crazy workday yesterday, and tries to make a burger with the ingredients, which, now thinking about it, a beef taco and a burger are actually not that far off. Although I'm not the most cultural person, so I don't know if putting duct tape on tacos or patties is a normal thing, but like a good soldier, he pushes through and tries to make do with what he has. But Awkward immediately clocks that this is not the food that he should be serving from this kitchen.
What are you doing here, son?
Why are you wearing a cook's apron?
Because I always cook the tacos on your day off.
I've never taken a day off in my life.
You definitely took a day off before.
Frycook SpongeBob SquarePants has accumulated too much vacation time. And if you don't take some time off, I'll have to pay a fine.
And I don't want to hear the defense of, oh, SpongeBob means that he personally didn't take a day off, because it's pretty much semantics.
This order is supposed to be a taco. If the customer wanted a yummy patty, they would have gone to the yum bucket.
To be fair, I'd probably go to the yum bucket too. You guys serve tacos and there's no hard shells? Yeah, I am that guy. Never mind the fact that he's probably seen Mr. Krabs for 99% of the time he's been at the Krusty Krab, and I don't think many of those times he's been blue or furry. It takes some hearing about the Bizarro version of the chum bucket for SpongeBob to finally realize what's going on. This is not the Krusty Krab, and this is not Squidward or Mr. Krabs. The nightmare starts to seep in as Mr. Claus and Octward stare at him confusingly. SpongeBob starts asking questions, but they don't really have any answers here that make sense to the little yellow guy. In fairness to SpongeBob, it takes these two to clock that whom they believe to be Sponge Tom's eyes are a lot lower than they normally were. Now that the secret is out, SpongeBob is looking everywhere for just an anchor of familiarity and finding nothing. When he sees that the Yum Bucket is getting customers, he concludes that his eyes must need to be checked.
There, that looks better. Blurry, but in a reassuring way.
The thing is, he doesn't get glasses necessarily to make things clearer. He gets glasses because he would much rather live in a delusion than try to figure out what's actually going on here. It's an interesting twist on his character because he just wants to be reassured that everything is okay more than anything else. He'd see Patrick and Sandy and try to tell them about his day. I mean, if you had a crazy day like this, you'd probably want to let your friends know about the fever dream you had.
Boy, am I glad to see you guys. Mind if I have some of your fries, Patrick? A little dry. Mind if I have a sip of your soda, Sandy? Ooh, that is off.
You know, I know this is supposed to be like a really tense moment here, but I just gotta say, fry etiquette states that you gotta get permission before you touch the fry, or you die. And drink etiquette, downing someone's drink when you wanted a sip, is at least 15 years in prison. With no parole. He's ready to unload the weird day that he had. There's just one problem though. That's not Sandy, and that's not Patrick. And this fever dream that he has is still real. He'd take off his glasses and meet Preston and Sammy, who are the Bizarro versions of his best friends that he was clinging to for some sense of normalcy that sent him further over the edge. Meanwhile, everyone around him, they're living their normal lives. This is what makes this episode so interesting when you think of Gone. There, he opted to try and live everyone's lives to try to establish some form of normalcy, but here, he's the only one bent out of shape. Everything here is normal. He's the one who thinks nothing here is normal, because he's not supposed to be here. From his point of view, it's like his whole world was a lie, and everything is replaced with weird versions of themselves.
Harry's gym? Mrs. Gruff's biking school? Groovy groupers?
After bumping into not Fred and not Old Man Walker, known here in their Bizarro versions as Ted and Young Man Power Walker, he has just one lifeline left: his parents. But even this is so interesting to me because SpongeBob doesn't run to his parents like that. He's typically a lot more independent, so I think that gives this action more weight. He would see the home that his parents live in, but it's a little different. And he's still trying to believe. He'd ring the doorbell to be greeted with lemon juice to the eye, which is different, but he's still trying to believe, chalking them up to be noted pranksters. And it's here where he meets the very person that the entire world confused him for.
May I help you?
Whoa! You look not quite exactly like me!
Who's your weird-looking friend, son?
You're not my parents. What did you do with my parents? You've replaced everyone with weird weirdos.
With the last shred of reality brutally ripped from the poor Sponge's point of view, things start to get a little bit unhinged. While I'm not the biggest fan of most of the other episodes in the title zone, this episode, along with Creepaway Camp, seemed to paint a relatively slower and darker direction for the show, and I like that a lot. Stuff like this, while not necessarily on a creepypasta level or anything like that, is probably as creepy as the show is allowed to go without feeling tacky or uncharacteristic. I even love the facial expressions here. It really sells how SpongeBob is truly living a nightmare come to life. Meanwhile, Sponge Tom and his parents have no idea what's going on. Look at how he goes rabid and his eyes turn bright red. You would think that I photoshopped this, that this scene here was fan-made. He tried to run away so that they don't get to him like he believes everyone else was got to, and knocks himself out. Sponge Tom and his family, because they're good people, send him on his way with a bag lunch, and he'd end up found by his friends. His actual friends.
Huh? Patrick, Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs. I had the strangest dream, and you weren't there, and you weren't there, and you weren't there, and you weren't there.
Yeah, we get it, laddie. Now back to work, you're late.
I want to be clear that I don't think that this episode and Gone are canonically related, but I think this idea of SpongeBob living out his nightmare that his friends are gone is much better handled here than there. I mean, in Gone, they ended by saying that he's annoying and that they needed a break from him, which is a ringing endorsement for your main character. Here, SpongeBob believes it all to be a nightmare, and while this is messed up to say, this nightmare was incredibly entertaining to watch. If this is what season 16 is going to consistently offer, I would confidently say after season 15, which was largely amazing, that we're going through low-key another golden age for SpongeBob episodes. And if you're looking for another banger episode, please check out this one here, which did the impossible in bringing back some of the feeling of old SpongeBob.